People, happy Friday. This is your homework support for EL 3.3, looking at how to now use Lagos to prove that the exposition helped you infer the goal for your main character. Today we talked about three literary devices that can be used in an exposition to help us think about how we learn about the main character's goal, or in other words, his or her conflict or motivation for this story. The first literary device we talked about were character thoughts, and as you say here, we are saying that either through dialogue or conversation, we may learn a little bit about what that goal is, or sometimes it could be inner thoughts, normally in italics, that kind of like tell us what this character is thinking about. Constantly or over again, that could be a hint towards what he or she might be trying to handle or deal with throughout this story. Additionally, we talked about flashbacks, and we said that with flashbacks, they do the exact same thing. They may be in italics, but these would normally be in past tense. But these are these usually happen when characters come across people or come across or while they're doing something. And Eric had brought up the question of even while um, we said either you see someone that triggers you, you see something that triggers you, or you're doing something. Eric brought up that the fact, well, can you be doing something and that action causes you? So yes, actions too. So things that kind of make you remember something in your past, or make characters remember things in their past, that then tells you, oh, this past situation, this past person, this past action keeps bothering them. It must be something that they're trying to shake off. It must be something that they want to possibly handle or deal with in the story. So flashbacks was one. And then lastly, we looked at narrated information. And when we talk about narrated information, we wanted to think about, everything else that we don't know. Like, how does a setting also impact characters that then tells you this is why they are telling the story. This is something in the setting or something about the setting that makes them want to do whatever it is they're trying to do in this story. Or maybe the narrator is describing how characters look, their expression of what characters do in certain situations or moments that tell you a little bit about what may bother them and cause them to want to and cause them to think about what to handle or fix or deal with by the end of the story. And we said that normally third person limited or omniscient narrators do this best because they're able to tell the full story um, for other characters. And so your goal today was to think about those three and figure out, well, how exactly did I or did you come up with your goal for your character? In this case, we talked about Tell of Three Brothers, and for my Artemis Fowl people, we're talking about Artemis Fowl. And so what I provided to you was a model. So I gave you this model here. And this is just to let you know what it should look like. Your intro, your first body paragraph, and I just started the second body paragraph. And we went in and we just identified all the things that came from the notes. And so character thoughts and narrative information that came from the notes. I know that I'm about to use character thoughts here in this body paragraph as my first proof. And so I know if I'm saying character thoughts, my notes tell me, if I go back, that the information I'm providing for character thoughts got to either be dialogue, meaning I'm going to say there was a conversation, and I know that it was provided to me in quotations, or these are inner thoughts, so something that I know the character's thinking to himself or herself. It was in italics, it came after an action, and it's in present tense. So in this case, when we kind of look through it, we realize that right here in this particular sentence, we have the author presenting this evidence. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. That the author presented the evidence using italics and writing in present tense following an action by the main character, thus proving the goal was inferred using character thought. It messed up. That's okay. I'm about to delete that anyway. So in that case, I know that the fact that I said italics, I said present tense, following an action, all those things go with the notes. Also up here, I said that I understood what was happening around him through a thought to himself. And this even told me, yes, I'm about to focus on the inner thoughts. I said thought to himself. So that was one way of making sure that my evidence is an example of a character thought because of how it was provided to me in italics, in present tense, following an action, and it was a thought to himself. Now, when we came to setting and actions and or expression and thinking about narrated, we wanted to kind of like talk about how do we explain that? How do we explain that it was an outside person helping us to understand what was going on around this character, how this character looked, or what this character may have did or may have done. And so we did two things. So first, for the setting, I'm actually going to make this a little bit larger for us. Now, when it comes to the setting, this is one thing that we can say. So same sentence, but now we're putting this evidence in place. The author presented this evidence through an omniscient narrator who is able to provide information about everything in the story that could impact the main character and cause him or her to have a goal to pursue, such as the setting the character is in. And so here, you have the same stem starting with, and how do I know that I'm talking about this narrated information? I would probably start here, that I learned about what was around him through a narrator, give the evidence, and then the author present this evidence using an omniscient narrator. Same thing here for action and expressions. Bring that in. The author presented this evidence through a limited narrator who was able to provide information about only the main character in the story, describing how he or she may be impacted enough to work towards the goal. One description could be the main character's feelings in a particular moment. And so, same thing. But in this case, I'm thinking about my limited narrator. For both of these, we just said understanding what do you know about limited and omniscient third-person narrators, and use your understanding to explain how that evidence is being told from that narrator to let you know how a character may be impacted. Make sure we really think about the word impact. And so that's the goal. For those of you doing Tell of Three Brothers, your job is to think about what are two moments in the exposition that was provided to you to prove that the three brothers their goal is to avoid death, or their goal is to try to survive, or their goal is to live long. That's their goal. But what two moments in the exposition definitely help us understand that. Additionally, for those in reading Artemis Fowl, your job is to use the first 6 pages, only the first 6 pages, to argue or to prove, what information helps you understand that the goal is Artemis wanted to find this book. Now, again, if you at some point now have more to the book in terms of is it what he wants to do with the book, if you have the information, that's fine, but we want to think about the first 6 pages, though, and what about those 6 pages let you know that he wants to find the book. Is it character thoughts? Is it narrated information? Is it flashbacks? You don't have to have 2 like me. You can just have 1, but if you have 1, so let's say I had this whole thing which is character thoughts. Now we need another piece of evidence that shows there was a character thought. Maybe there was another moment where Oberon was thinking to himself, or there was another moment where he was having a conversation with someone. But I have to make sure that there are 2 different examples of character thoughts based on my notes. And that's pretty much it. You have a sheet that I provided to you with stems. And so let me bring that up for you. And so I pretty much just broke down that model in CFU and just did the exact same thing. So this is for Tell of Three Brothers, and everything just pretty much in there and just check off and all of that. But again, if you use this and you turn this in, the best grade you're going to get is AP, which is an 85, meaning that you are proficient. Mainly because I'm giving you all the work, all you're doing is plugging in the information. I would prefer that you do this on your own. Artemis Fowl, here is yours. And same thing, just change some of the wording. But there you are. So again, I should see a full paper of you showing how your text use literary devices to help you understand the goal for your main character. Good luck.